Today is one of those auspicious, extremely auspicious days in the worship of the goddess Durga. Today is the 7th day in the US, of course, and in India it's the 8th day. It's called the great 8th day of worship, Maha Ashtami. And that's where I got to cue for the topic today, the imminent great goddess. The alternate title was the great goddess within. I settled for the imminent great goddess, means the same thing. The anthropic principle, the way we try to understand reality through our own lives and bodies and minds, is a great bar to understanding reality as it is. And yet, Indian philosophers have understood this very human need. You need to conceptualize the reality as it appears to us because of our own limitations. But that's not the end, and that's the reason why people say, okay, that's idolatry, it's idol worship, it's paganism. That's not the essential factor in the conceptualization of the gods and the goddesses. The next stage Indian philosophy shows is the immanence of that great goddess, as immanent in creation, because creator and creation can never be divorced. It is one. And then the next stage of philosophy shows the transcendent aspect of that great goddess. So when we worship an idol, we don't worship an idol. We worship the ideal of transcendence and immanence. And this figure, the image, is just to fix our mind so that this can lead us to those higher realms. And that's the reason why after the worship of this great goddess for 10 days, and it's a celebration, huge celebration, they take that great idol which they have been worshipping and with great fanfare again, they immerse it in a body of water. They know the reality is not this only. The reality is greater than what we perceive. So this is the subject of today's discussion. How the great goddess is personal, impersonal, or the collective, or the cosmic, and also her transcendent aspect. So these are also stages of Indian philosophy called dualism, qualified non-dualism, and non-dualism, Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, and Advaita. Okay. The first thing that we perceive out, I mean, if we are perceptive enough, of course we all are, is this idea of power in this universe. Everything moves. Nothing is static. Nothing. There is movement from the subatomic particles to the greatest galaxies, and the whole universe, is being churned. Thought, word, speech, action, this is power. Power in the sense, not this, not in the ordinary sense of the term. It's dynamism. When these early people, they saw these great forces of nature, the thunderstorm and the volcanoes and the earthquakes and these great fires, and first perception is always of power. Something is moving this. This is how they conceptualized the great goddess. And they used to approach her with awe and fear, because she was creating things, or the power is creating and dismantling things, destroying things, recreating things at all levels of the perceptible universe. So energy in its tremendously dynamic form, it's ceaseless. So they conceptualized it as a goddess. And how do you approach this goddess who has these immense powers? The best way, make her your mother. That's the first and the last thing a child understands. And even if the child has grown up, that is one of the things that stays. They made it the beneficent mother. At the same time, mother has these tremendous powers. This is the first conceptions of. Is it only specific to a particular culture? No. The worship of these goddesses was in every culture. In fact, worship began with the worship of the goddesses. They started off with as fertility rites, etc., fertility goddesses, but they were not fertility goddesses. We make them. They were the great protectors. So, in ancient Mesopotamia, there was a great celebratory worship of the god Inanna. And she was the goddess of beauty and protection, of love and war and fertility. Later, she was taken by the Sumerians and was called Ishtar. They kept those qualities about her. Then the Akkadians, Babylonians and Assyrians, they called her Queen of Heaven, Inanna, Ishtar or Astarte. The Greek goddess Aphrodite and the Roman goddess Venus are all evolutions of that primal goddess. And we see this in the whole of the what you call as the Middle East today, and right up to what is called Turkey today, Anatolia. The Greeks were worshipping these goddesses. Everybody are worshipping these goddesses. It was an ancient. What is surprising is Inanna or Ishtar is shown as subduing a lion, holding a spear. Amazing, and lives in a mountain. Now, this same iconography is more or less similar to what Durga is, the great goddess Durga. She is called the mother of all the gods. She also rides a lion, that is, she has subdued the lion. She carries a trident. Well, sometimes I said, who took from where? She also descends in the mountain, from the mountain. She is called Shailaputri. She descends from the mountain. She lives in the mountain. And once a year, she descends down on this mortal earth. Who took from whom? Who borrowed? No, nobody. These are the universal archetypes embedded deep within human minds, and they manifest in similar fashion all over the place. Now this, in brief, because this is the Durga Puja fest, the gods and the demons had a great battle and the gods lost. Now they were shorn of their immortality. They became just like mortals, moving around like us. And when gods become mortal, that's mortal danger for all of us. They were just behaving like, and they were grumbling, and the evil forces had become immortal. So the gods went to the great triad, the three, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, and they were griping and complaining, see these guys, they have ousted us from our heavens abodes. What do we do now? So Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva, they showed the annoyance, and that annoyance brought out that, you can say, luminous, you can say, form, the energy out of them. And then all the other gods also, they contributed all their powers, and a beautiful form emerged out of that great luminous mass of light. That condensed as the goddess Durga. So she now is the embodiment of all the gods and the goddesses. So when you worship her, you worship all the gods and goddesses. So this, in brief, is the great goddess, the anthropic principle, as we say. Yeah, we have grown up on mythology, and mythology is an essential aspect of the human mind. The human mind develops through mythology. Well, this could be a topic for another day, but it is part of our lives and part of our thinking. If we can't get the great goddess, then we'll have to bring in some Superman and this and that and Jack and Jill and all these things. We'll bring out all these things, don't worry. It's better to bring spiritual ideals in our mythology. Okay. Now, let's come down to a little more kind of the philosophical aspect from mythology. So every religion has three broad divisions. One is philosophy or metaphysics. The second is mythology. Third is rituals. And then you have all these, morality or ethics, whatever. These are the fringe aspects of every religion. So let's go down to mythology. Okay. When we look at this universe outside, what do we see? First, that great power that is running everything. And you are not in control of it at all. You can't do anything about it. We are trying to harness it, we are trying to contain it, we are trying to do everything, but it can't. The second thing is, if you look out at the universe outside, oh my God, this universe, the rough estimates, they say 100 billion galaxies, and at different stages of evolution. Evolution, yes, it's the power that is there, that is evolving all these galaxies. And if you think, 100 billion, imagine 100 billion, we can conceptualize things after 1,000, maybe 10,000, those who are kind of good in mathematics. But after 10,000, you can't really figure out things. It's just a number for you, just a cipher. So it must be a very cluttered place. You can understand. No, space is so vast. The first thing that you can understand is the great silence and the great distances. Space is extremely quiet. Occasionally there might be a boom, a supernova. but it's extremely good. The distances are mind-boggling. We just can't conceptualize the extent of this massive universe. Just impossible. Closer home, we see our Milky Way, beautiful. It's something like 400 billion stars and equal number of planets, so many things. Now, what is common here? On this small speck of dust, as Carl Sagan would say, the small blue dot is our life here, lost in the immensity of space. Even our solar system is so huge, Earth is dwarfed. So, on this small Earth, small, just a speck of dust floating about, and the immense space. What are we doing here? Where have we come from? What is our destiny? Who has created all these things? These were answers and questions from the very beginning of time. In the old days, people could see maybe some constellations, but right now we can see even greater. And then the same questions are now becoming more and more persistent. What is this? All these things. So these questions have been kind of eating into us from the very beginning, and we want to seek answers. And like everything in this universe, these questions also, they you can say, sect the universe and come. Everything in this world has got a circular motion. So these questions are also returning to us with renewed, you can say, strength. Why? What? Who? When? So these questions, philosophy looks at from a kind of a different angle. Science looks at it from a purely different angle, and which are complementary, of course. Now, why is this earth the way it is? One thing we know, this earth is teeming with life. There is no doubt at all. This earth was designed by life. The earth that we see around was not the way it was before, billions of years ago. It was fashioned by life itself. And when you see, why here? Why not anywhere else? And people are searching for those. Why not? Why not anywhere else? Because the same laws that operate here also operate everywhere else. Given time? Yes. Okay. Let's look at it. We have a huge Milky Way and a huge galaxy around it. And philosophy will look at it like that. Okay. One's entire life has to be lived to get one moment or 1 minute or 1 day of tremendous success. Like you have to really work yourself to get your first $1 million all your life. You have to keep on doing spiritual practices for years and years and years till you come to a tipping point, and it's similarly in every aspect of life you find that there has to be a tremendous effort stretching over years and years and years till we come down to one point in your timeline, which is great. For instance, okay, saffron flowers are kind of very expensive, but you need a whole field to first cultivate saffron flowers and then get those stamens out from there, and then crush them, and then you get a few drops of that saffron oil. You need a huge means to produce a small effect. It takes years and years and thousands of people to produce one Olympic champ. He or she doesn't do it all in the hundreds and thousands of people are all vying for that medal, Olympic medal maybe, and one guy. As the Bhagavad Gita says, Manushyanam Sahasreshu, that is, out of 1,000 people, a few decide they will start spiritual practices. And out of thousands of those who are practicing spirituality, perchance one or two know me in reality. What I'm trying to say is the means are kind of exhausted to produce one small effect. I think if this is clear, then we can proceed. Now let's come down to Earth. It has taken the entire galaxies and the billions of galaxies and this particular galaxy to produce one Earth. This is like the gem that has been extracted from the entirety of this universe to produce just one speck of dust which is teeming with life. Life is everywhere. Try seeing a drop of water under a microscope. It's life in the atmosphere, deep down in the earth, in oceans. It's everywhere, everywhere. Why? It has been produced through the great, you can say, effort of the entirety of this universe. That's an astounding. That's why I keep on telling people, you don't know how lucky you are. The whole universe has worked for you to produce you and to keep you alive. The next reason is we need to know existence because we are made from that stuff that is in the universe. Every material has been cooked in those massive, you can say, stars. So it's natural that we want to know. And by knowing this universe, that is what. There's a book, The Self-Aware Universe. I like the title. I read a little of it, of course. The universe is becoming aware of itself through us, through life. The universe is trying to know itself. And this is a tremendous responsibility given to all of us. The universe has exhausted itself to produce us on this earth. It wants to know itself. Yeah, it might seem a little kind of egotistical, but actually it's true. However, we'll go forward because as we know, we have understood the means are kind of completely exhausted to produce the effect. This is you can see the principle of, you can say, Advaita Vedanta. So we have spoken about life here. I like to call it the multiverse, the universe and multiverse. It's not something like the physicists talk about the parallel universes or many universes. It could be, who knows. We could find out that we are living in a parallel universe. But I'm using the multiverse in the sense of there is life everywhere. Everywhere. The human being itself, Swamiji says that a human is epitome of all beings and all powers reside in the person. Now that should make us feel proud. Yeah, I'm greater. No, it's the best product of evolution. Every aspect, every, you can say, level of evolution is embodied in a person. At every stage, you are a few billion years old story. It has crafted us for billions and billions and billions. It has taken every aspect of life and has clubbed them together in the human being. So we are the best. And now we have something called this, the life that is here. In Advaita Vedanta, you have something called the 5 aspects of, you can say, coverings, the Panchakosha. Now, the 5 sheaths, as you say. The first is the gross body. They say it's the food sheath. It lives on food and dies without it, and then dies and becomes food. So this is the grossest aspect of life. Now if you have a body and if you don't have a life that's animating it, you are just useless. You are just like a blob, or maybe jello. So you need life. And because there is life animating the body, what happens is you can interact with other lives, which is essential. Without an interaction, you cannot live. We think, yes, we are great. No, no. You have to interact. We do interact at every level. So we can also say that the very essence of the gross body is the vital force, the, as they say, pranamaya kosha, the vital sheath that is in us. This vitality is the essence of the food sheath, the gross body. It's the life is more subtle, and that's the reason why people are trying to say, what is life? What is life? And you ask poets, you ask philosophers, and they ask common people also, what is life? Life, right? Because it's very subtle. Now, what is the very essence of life? It's mind. Life that seeks things out. It has to be guided. It has to discern things, good and bad and all these things. So the very essence of your life, your vital forces, is the mind. Now this is kind of okay. Now we see life everywhere. We see wherever there is life, there has to be mind also. In all species, without exception. So then we'll say, what is the very essence of this mind? Because we have to ask questions about existence. Where do we come from? Where are we going? What is life? All these things. The very essence of mind is intelligence. So you see, it's kind of, I'm using that same principle of the very essence of this universe is the earth, and the very essence of this earth and the whole evolution is the human body, and that the very essence of the human body is life. The very essence of life is the mind, and the very essence of mind is intelligence. It's kind of taking the very core. And what is the essence of intelligence? Bliss. Yes, it's bliss. We're not talking about just ordinary joy related to the senses. There is this joy, this bliss within. And that's why Upanishads say, Ko hevasya pranat yadi heva akash anandanasya. Who can live, who can breathe if this bliss wasn't there in the heart of every being? This is the very essence of intelligence. There. Now you'll say, what is the essence of bliss? Oh, we've all been searching for it. We were searching it outside, we are searching it inside also. Consciousness. It is consciousness. It is consciousness that holds everything together. That consciousness has got these 5 coverings. Annamaya kosh, pranamaya kosh, manomaya kosh, vijnanamaya kosh, anandamaya kosh. There it is. Now, if you can understand your gross body, you can understand all the gross bodies in the universe. Like Sri Ramakrishna says, if rice is boiling, of course, in India, nowadays we have these cookers and all that. You press 1 grain of rice to see if it's boiled or not. Then you know all the rice is boiled. So that's a simple. The knowledge of a particular gives rise to the knowledge of the general. If this is here within us, the knowledge of this body will give you the knowledge of all bodies. If you understand life here within you, you can understand life all over the universe, at least this earth. If you understand mind, you can understand all minds. If you understand intelligence, you can understand intelligence everywhere. And you can understand bliss. Yeah, the microcosm and the macrocosm are one. So that grain of rice you're testing to see if it's boiled or not, that's a microcosm. The entire pot of rice is a macrocosm. You know it. This is how we can, and then once you know consciousness, you know all the consciousness. But how do we know that? The problem comes here. Now, at least intellectually, we kind of understood. We have broken up things. We have come down to the very, you can say, root of this universe. Consciousness. It's a tremendous, you can say. In the one of the hymns to the goddess, great goddess, it is said, Chitirupena ya kritsnam ekam vyapyastito jagat namastasai 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 namano. Repeated salutations to her, the great goddess, who dwells in all beings as consciousness. This is the great mother. This is the great power. This is a matrix. She creates. So, that consciousness which is within all of us is that great goddess. She is immanent in every creation. Now, this technically finishes this subject matter. But I would like to kind of quote a couple of mothers, you can say, sayings. Because this great goddess, with all her might and with all the weapons, and she destroying evil and all this thing, my God, she is constantly working. And if you remember those questions that we had asked and we are still asking who, why, when, what is our destiny, what is life, why are we here? Those questions have kind of coming back to us, and they are embodying themselves, because everything starts from the very subtle level and slowly becomes grosser and grosser and grosser. It's like, suppose, anger. Well, it starts small and then it slowly grows and grows and grows, and then when it comes out in full force, it shakes you, and then you're left kind of depleted. So everything starts from the subtle and grows higher and higher. So all these questions that we have asked, and if you include every pain, every cry, every prayer, every hope that has gone out of the human heart, gone out of consciousness, has returned to us in the form of the great goddess. But this great goddess, kind of looking at us, you might think, oh my God, yeah, she's so beautiful. Oh my God, really? If you keep on looking at that great goddess, the Durga, she kind of just draws your heart and your life and your mind to her. Just keep looking. But there are people who won't look at her. They want something more tangible. So, we come down to Holy Mother. Now, you might be, okay, why Holy Mother? Swami Vivekananda says, in one of he writes into one, brother, you have not understood Mother yet. You have not understood Shakti. She is the living goddess Durga. Now, oh my God, is that so? Yes, that great goddess embodies, for a easier comprehension by all the creation. If we can understand, the entire creation can understand, because we have, in a way, we are now responsible for the entirety of creation, life on this world. And see how we're going about like madmen with a hammer, kind of breaking things. So, we quote from Mother's book, 2 astounding answers Mother gives to questions. A disciple of Holy Mother, Swami Arupananda, he says, quote, Mother, infinite is this creation. Who can tell what's happening in a remote plane? Who can say if any living beings inhabit any of those innumerable stars and planets? Well, this is the question we would generally ask ourselves, and Mother, she answers, my child, it is possible only for God to be omniscient in this realm of Maya. Then she says, perhaps there are no living beings in those planets and stars. The word is perhaps. Now, who can say that? Well, now if you think that this answer was kind of offhand, here we can say. Another disciple asks her, are you the mother of all? Mother says, yes. And then the next question is, even of these birds and animals? Mother says, yes, them also. She also says, beings all over the world are my children. I am their mother. Who can say that? A mother loves a child because the child is part of her body, her life. That's a tremendous. So there is always a feeling that this is mine. There may be other children, okay, but this is mine. It has come from me. And when Holy Mother says beings all over the world are my children, we have emerged from her. That is the great goddess. Yes, this is the reality. This is the great goddess who has come to us in this form now. Because, we'll get frightened of the Durga's great arms and she is on a kind of a roll. She is on a kind of a mission to destroy all evil and all that. So we need a kind of benign, loving, compassionate form for us. There's another quote. There's a disciple, Surendra Sarkar. He says, Mother, people call you Kali, Adya Shakti, Bhagavati. Adya Shakti is the primal power, the prime mover. Bhagavati is the great goddess. In the Gita also it's mentioned, it says, that the great sages Asita, Devala and Vyasa and all that, they called Sri Krishna as Narayana. That is, they called Sri Krishna as Narayana. That is, they saw him not just to the anthropic principle, but that immanence and his transcendence. That's how we have started. So, he says, the idea has been emphasized. I believe everything that I've heard, the disciple says. But still, will you please speak of it yourself? My doubts will be dispelled. I want to hear from you directly these things, whether they are true or no. That is, he is asking Holy Mother, are you that primal power, that great power, which is the great goddess, which is moving everything, which is the essence of consciousness, which is the essence of our life and bodies and minds and intelligence and bliss? And Holy Mother said, yes, my child, it is true. I leave you with that. So when you look at the mother, know that she is that imminent and transcendent goddess. That great goddess has appeared to us because we were praying for her. Take it or leave it. So who can leave it? Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.